Howdy y'all, Christi here with Little Salty Homesteader. If this is your first time joining me, welcome. I'm so happy that you're here. I am a gardener in North Texas, which is gardening zone 8A, if you keep track of that. And I have a backyard garden eventually one day. My dream is to have maybe like a 3 to 4 acre very small farm with some chickens and some goats. But for now, my main focus is on gardening and preserving and obviously cooking. So welcome, and I'm so happy you're here. Like I said, if you have joined me before, welcome back. I am happy to see you as well. Today, it is a hot tea and gardening book kind of day. I'm actually in the middle of reading this one. So my video is going to be indoors. It's a little chilly outside to be talking about what I wanted to talk to you guys about today. So what I do want to talk about is the importance of having a garden journal and how you can set one up, or different ways that you can create one for you. So just a little bit of a backstory here. I started gardening whenever I was a kid. I would garden with my grandparents and my parents. We had a pretty large summer garden that we would, grow the okra, squashes, peppers, tomatoes, things like that. So we would have those things throughout the year. We would preserve the stuff with salsa and stewed tomatoes and diced tomatoes and things like that. My grandma would freeze like breaded squash ready to fry, same thing with okra. So I grew up gardening that way. I never realized all of the organization that went into it, all of the planning, all of the paperwork, so to speak. My grandpa had an incredible, brilliant mind, and he kept track of all of that. So I never got to see the behind the scenes brain work behind it. I just got to eat the best parts. So when I started gardening, I've had a couple of gardens on and off that failed miserably up until 2020 when the pandemic hit, and then I really started gardening pretty heavily hardcore because I needed something to do that would kind of break up the monotony of being at home, being inside. I needed a way to kind of de-stress. It started out as a hobby, and then all of a sudden it became very, very important to me, especially once the grocery store shelves started carrying less and less and less of the things that my family ate. And then especially once I got sick in October 2020 and had some digestive stuff come up and had to change my diet all around. So I didn't realize when I started in 2020 and I started to have a successful garden that I was going to need to take notes. And so the reason why I wanted to make this video today is to kind of let you know, hey, you might want to take notes. Because whenever you grow your garden again next year, I promise you are going to forget a lot of the things that happened this year. And that's what happened to me with whenever I started gardening in 2021. I had forgotten some of the issues that I faced in 2020, and I did take some notes to a degree, but I didn't really I didn't really write down the things that were going to be worthwhile as far as pest management or disease management or handling drought or handling too much rain or anything like that. So that became very, very clear to me in 2021 that that's something that I need to start doing from then forward. So that being said, today I'm going to talk about a few different ways you could set up like a hard copy of a garden journal, and then we can also talk about a couple of digital ways to set up a garden journal as well. And the whole point of this is so that you can look back from year to year to see what worked well for you, what didn't, what issues you faced, and how you overcame them. How much of something you harvested, your thoughts on something you grew that you liked you loved a lot, or something you grew that you just could not stand and you don't want to grow it again. These are all little different things that you want to be able to incorporate into your garden journal. So I'm going to go over a few hard copy formats, and then I'm going to discuss an app that I'm trying out, and then we'll also talk about like digital spreadsheets that you can use on your phone for all of this stuff. So the first one, this one, the garden planner, is from MIGardener, and it already has all of that stuff for you that I talked about. You know, like you can create like garden sketches. I'm so sorry, the light behind me there from me starting some seeds has really made this video super dark, so I apologize for that. Let me see if I can get that fixed. Just bear with me, I apologize. And I might look grainy, but there we go. Okay, so this one breaks down into different sections, everything that you really want to keep track of in your garden journal. Anything from how often you need to water, how often you have to handle pest management, fertilizer, the days that you harvest, how much you harvest, the seeds you plant, the seeds you the plants that you transplant, all of that stuff. It's all broken down in here, and then there's reference sections for you as well. So like if you're having a particular issue, you might be able to find it in here. You know, like maybe you have a nutrient deficient tomato plant, it'll kind of explain a little bit of that in here. So this is a really good off into the races garden journal. I purchased this one. I do like it. I purchased it last year in August, and I was using it pretty steadily, but then after I got COVID, I went to bed for 4 weeks or something like that, 3 weeks, and then I didn't pick it up again. And that's not the fault of the journal, that is the fault of the user of the journal. It has a calendar in it where you can write down, so let me show you a blank pages. So it has 7 days, right? And then it has like a little checklist, like bullet journal style, for you to check off the things that you do across those 7 days. And then you can write down notes in each of those 7 days. Now, I am not the most consistent person on the planet, so me opening this up every day, writing notes in it every day, I'm not good at that. If you are a consistent person, if you crave routine and you need that day to day, I'm going to open this up and I'm going to write something every single day. This is what you need. This is through MIGardener. I don't believe it costs a whole lot of money. I think it was like $20. I'll put the link in the description box, because I do think that this is a super valuable resource if you're just starting out with gardening, or even if you're not just starting out with gardening. I think that this is fantastic. It just isn't the method for me personally, for the way that my brain works, for the way that I am consistency wise. This is not Christi friendly. But it's everybody else friendly. It's the user that's the problem. It's not the journal that's the problem, I promise you. And then in my 2021 wisdom or lack of wisdom, I also created something that was like a bullet journal style, and it had like weeks broken down with stickers and fun little doodles and Bible verses and stuff just to keep me inspired. You could do something like this. It is a bit of a time investment, because you do have to go through and create all of your pages for every week or every day or every month or whatever you're doing. But with the bullet journal, you can also have your plant inventory written down. You could sketch out your garden. You could have like a running list of things that you need to purchase for your garden, like if you need fertilizer or if you need a cattle panel trellis, whatever. This method works really well for the person who has time to be artsy and draw straight lines. In 2021, I apparently had time, but I didn't fill it out. So again, consistency. Well, I started filling it out, and then 2021 kind of had some weird things happen. So you know, aside from that, Christi is not consistent. That's the main theme of this video. So then if you just want to be super basic, I mean, you just want to grab a composition notebook and just take notes in it, then you can. That's what I did in 2020 whenever that was my first like major year gardening. I would just write the date, and then I would just write what went on that date. So like 9/11, 9/12/2020, baby dragon tongue beans. So I noticed, hey, my beans are starting to set some beans. And then 9/20/2020, transplanted some kale and some broccoli. Tiny tomatoes out of soil, need some stuff. Wrote a list of the things that I needed. So this is the most basic way that you can go. Composition book, just write your stuff in it. This works really well because you don't have to be 100% consistent 100% of the time. You just write in it whenever you need to write in it. Unfortunately, if you don't put a little bit of forethought into it, then your purchase list kind of get lost in your day-to-day, harvest and watering notes. And then last year for 2022, I created this really like gardening binder. And the thought behind the binder was to have pretty much everything that I needed in a single space. So inside here I have, I'll kind of show you because I have it set up for 2023 as well. So in the front I have my 2023 planting schedule, and then that's my seed starting calendar. So that's going to tell me on this date I need to plant these things, and it's broken down by direct sow and then seed starting indoors. And then the next page is the seed starting log. So that is going to tell me what I planted, how many I planted, the date that I started the seed, the date that I begin hardening off, and then the date that I transplant. So I have those 3 dates for that one variety listed all the way down for every single variety that I'm starting seeds for indoors. That is actually taking up a few pages because peppers, tomatoes, and herbs and some flowers can get very, takes up a lot of lines very quickly. So then after that, I kind of have a maintenance log, and maintenance log is, am I applying fertilizer? Am I needing to apply some sort of pest control measures? Things like that. Am I needing to, figure out a way to handle too much rain or something? So I have and these are just pieces of graph paper that I just drew lines on and made column headers. So the date, what plant has the issue, and then the action item for that plant. So whatever maintenance I'm providing for that plant, I'm just going to write it down here. And then I also have a harvest log, which, you guessed it, is just how much I am harvesting from any given plant on any given day. So if May 15th I harvest 6 pounds of cherry tomatoes, that's a lofty goal, but that's what I will write down. And then beyond the logs, then that's whenever I have my knowledge-based stuff. So anytime I read a gardening book, like the Family Garden Plan, I take notes from the book. I also put little page markers in the book, but I take notes on the book, and then I put them in my garden binder. So whenever I start planning for the next season or the next year, I go back over all my notes, refresh my memory on things, and then I can have a really good idea of how to grow things the best way that I can. And every year I read more books and get a little bit more knowledge, so hopefully every year my gardens get better and better. But I have essentially the super basics of the notes that I've written from books in the binder. And then anytime that I take like a gardening class or a gardening course, I have the printouts and stuff from those in here broken down by section. And then different other notes that I have, like this is a botanical interest indoor sowing guide. It kind of breaks down the dates and stuff for whenever you need to start your seeds. And then, you know, nutrient deficiencies and how to handle that. And then I have some like a few recipes that came out of some of the gardening seed catalogs that I've gotten in the mail. And then the last thing that I have is I have torn pages out of the seed catalogs. I don't know if you, I have torn pages out of the seed catalogs, and I saved them because I don't keep the full seed catalog beyond past about February. I recycle them. So I get what I want out of them, and then I save them in here. That way I can refer back to them, because some of the seed companies really do give you a ton of information in their catalogs. Like the Baker Creek seed catalog, first of all, it's like this thick. It's like a coffee table book almost. And it gives you pages and pages and pages and pages of stuff. So like they had an article on arugula in there, and I think that it spanned three pages. So I have 3 pages of information on arugula that is now in this hard copy gardening binder. This one I refer to all year long, whether I am doing my spring and summer garden or my fall/winter garden. I kind of lump those two together because Texas is weird and we have like 2 seasons really. But this one has been the one that has worked the best for me. But I know everybody is different. I know everybody has their own ways of doing things, ways that would work better for them. That was why I went ahead and spoke on the ways that did not work as well for me. I wanted to let you know, hey, this is an option for you. But one other thing that I'm trying out this year is a digital app for my garden journal. And the app that I am choosing, or that I'm using, is called Seed to Spoon. They do have a free version. The free version allows you to track 3 plants, and I have more than 3 plants by my back door. So I went ahead and upgraded to the plan that is $4.99 a month, and that allows me to put in all of my plants. And so far, I am really enjoying this app. I'm going to attempt to add in like a screen recording video in this corner right here, so you can kind of see what I'm talking about whenever I talk about this particular app. So this, first of all, it gives you so many different plants, from flowers to vegetables to fruits. All of anything that you would ever want to grow in your garden, it probably has in here. And then it will also give you a calendar, and it lets you know when you should start that plant indoors, when you should plant it outside. It also lets you know if it doesn't like heat, or if it doesn't like cold, or any of that. And then the little My Garden button, that's where you can create like your garden journal. So you can, I'm going to add a plant to my garden right now. So I am going to add a hot pepper because I did plant that, and I planted it on January 7th, and the starting method was indoor. The amount planted, that one only planted 1, and this one is going to be planted in my stone colored green stalk once I move it outside. And this one is habanero. So I'm just typing that in there. You can also choose from the list, it's probably on here, but I just typed it in. And Marcus sprouted. That one actually sprouted on the 22nd. Save. Okay, and it's also going to kind of give you an idea of whenever you can probably expect your first harvest from this plant. And then I'm just going, then for plant log, on plant log you can add events. So transplanted, watered, fertilized, pest, rainfall, harvested, other. It has basically a way for you to log any sort of anything that you would want to log in regards to this plant. I don't need to log anything right now, so I will, and then plant notes. It's going to tell you all kinds of different things about this plant. It's going to help you figure out when you should plant it. It's going to tell you what it likes, what it doesn't like, how much water it likes, what kind of fertilizer it likes, and then it gives you recommended products, which again, I already have basically everything that I need, but if you're first starting out, it kind of does tell you, hey, if you want to grow this, this is an idea of some stuff that you might want to look for. And then it gives you harvesting ideas, cooking and eating ideas, how to save the seeds, and then it also tells you health benefits for eating. Like these habaneros, the health benefits are bone and joint health. Bring it on. I'm almost 40. I need it, right? Okay, so then we'll go ahead and go back on that. We're gonna close that. Then on your garden notes, with the little section at the top right, you can add like a photo journal type part, which is a downside to these methods, right? You can't really add pictures unless you print them out and draw them, and I can't remember the last time I printed a photo. So this will let you digitally add photos so that you can kind of keep track. Okay, on March 15th, this is what my garden looks like as I'm transplanting these things out. On August 15th, this is what my garden looks like whenever it's 110 degrees. You can track the changes from day to day, week to week, month to month, and with photos, because sometimes that's the best way to look back and see how things have progressed over time. I mean, the written stuff is great, but sometimes you need that image reinforcement, the visual reinforcement. So I think I'm really going to enjoy this app. So far, I really like it. I need to enter in all of the seeds that I have started. That way I can keep good records. But I have 3 out of how many ever. So I got quite a ways to go. The last digital journaling thing is going to be kind of a combination between like a spreadsheet app on your phone. Like the iPhones have numbers. If you have a Google phone, you can use Google Sheets. I mean, you can even use Google Sheets if you have an iPhone. It'll just connect it to your Google account and you can access it from your desktop, which makes it a little bit more handy. You can use, so you have that, you have your numbers or your Google Sheets or even Excel, you have that on your phone. And then the reason why I wanted to try the digital app this year is because I'm not always going to take this out with me. It's big, it's a little bit clunky, it does get a little bit heavy whenever I'm doing 32 other things, but I always have this. So I would always write in the notepad, notes about whatever, on Pawpaw's cherry tomato plant, there's a big garden spider. I'm gonna leave her because, she's my friend. I forget what I named her, Charlotte, I think. And instead of having to write it in one place and then transfer it to another, that's why I decided to go ahead and try the Seed to Spoon app so that I could keep track of all of that information just one time. But if you don't want to do an app, because some people just don't, but you still like the digital idea, you could still take notes in the Notes app or whatever other, note type app you might have on your phone that doesn't quite fit into the spreadsheet app. The spreadsheet app is perfect for all of the logs, all the things that you want to log. Seed starting dates, the seeds that you're planting, maintenance logs, harvest logs, all of that stuff, that will work great in spreadsheet format. But whenever you go out and you're just looking at stuff and you just want to make a note, like such as the butterflies were were really active today, and I really noticed several of them around the zinnias. You can't, it's really difficult to put that in, I mean, you can in like a notes column, but I guess the point that I'm trying to make is you can use the notes app or another like document type app to write those types of notes down, and then use the spreadsheet apps to have all of your logs, and then combined you have a really good garden journal to refer back to. This year I'm doing the combination of this one and this one, the Seed to Spoon app. I am still going to use this because it has all of my knowledge from all, you know, the books that I'm reading and stuff in it. I'm going to use this every year. I'm going to build upon it every year. This is my hard copy of the chaos inside my brain. So, but with the Seed to Spoon, I keep forgetting the name of the app. Chaos inside the brain. Okay. The Seed to Spoon app, I think, is really going to be the best way for me to log things consistently without having to be 100% consistent. You know, like with these two, I had to be hardcore consistent with, and I had to remember to write something every day. Whereas with the Seed to Spoon, you know, whenever I added that those seeds sprouted on the 22nd, it was easy for me to just select the 22nd. I didn't have to remember to do it every single day. Whatever method you decide to use, whether you're just writing stuff down in a composition notebook, or you're using an app, or you're using Excel, or however you decide to create your journal, I do highly encourage you to do so. Find a method that works for you, stick to it, be consistent, and use it religiously, because what you're going to find is that whenever you refer back to these in future years, that your gardening is going to get better and better. But you do have to have the records somewhere, because you will forget from year to year how your garden behaves. And I firmly believe in the power of journaling and keeping track of all of these different things that affect a plant's life. So that is really all I have for you today, 28 minutes later. Thank you so much for joining me today. I do hope that you found this video informative. If you have any other gardening journal methods, please write them down in the comments below. If you would like to see a video on seed starting, also please let me know. I know that there's 100,000 other ones out there, which is why I haven't created one. I kind of wanted to give you something a little bit different to look at in this season of planting. So if you do want to see that, please let me know. I'm happy to shoot one for you. Otherwise, I will see you guys next week. I hope you have a wonderful week, a wonderful weekend coming up, and I will see you next time. Bye!